Hi, I'm back to talk about a couple of more books this week, two different books. So let's get started. The first book I want to talk about is Kindred by Octavia Butler. Okay, so why am I bringing this book? Octavia Butler was one of the first recognized Black writers of science fiction who featured Black characters as main characters in her books. Okay, so what is this book about? So this book is actually science fiction, and that is because there's some time travel in this book. There's lots of time travel in this book, which makes it a science fiction book. So in this book, the main character, Dana, is a journalist living in California. And then all of a sudden, she is transported back to Maryland, to a Maryland plantation during slavery. So Dana, who was living her life in California, although is a Black woman, obviously was a Black woman, but not living in slavery, now is having to make these really difficult decisions in Maryland, where she is in this in slavery. So if you like science fiction, but you also want to read about like race relations and identity, then this is an excellent book. So we have the original prose format, and we also have the graphic novel. I think some students have already read this year, which is also great. Okay, all right. So the next book is very different. This next book is called Educated by Tara Westover. So this is a memoir. And so why am I bringing this book? I'm bringing this book because I have lots of students who like memoir, and I have students who like true stories where the author tells about their stories of like survival. So, what is this story about? So, Tara Westover grew up with her family in Idaho. Her parents, her father specifically, they were Mormon, but he was like a fundamentalist. But even more so than that, he was a conspiracy theorist. So he did not trust the government. He did not trust schools. He did not trust hospitals. And so what that meant is Tara and her siblings were very isolated. Although they lived in a Mormon community, they could not really socialize with the kids their age. Her father just didn't allow it. So that meant that she was home. And, they got away with it because her parents would say that she was being homeschooled, but she really was not homeschooled. What actually happened is that, they worked really, really hard on the farm where they lived. And she went through very challenging times of not only some physical abuse, but also just psychological abuse of having to be isolated from everybody. But she then just wanted to learn and to go to school, which she couldn't, and made the decision at some point that she was going to educate herself, which she started doing. She started reading books, and she started, her brother, one of her brother, who was a little bit older, started bringing her books. So this is a story about how she really did, make the decision that she was just going to educate herself, which she did, and she ends up applying to college. There's still a lot in here for you to read about, even though I just told you a bit about it. I think if you've read stories like A Glass Castle, that you would like this book like that. Not only is it about her story of survival, it's also beautifully written. I read it a few years ago, and I've probably purchased the book for 4 or 5 different people because that's how much I love the book and how much the writing I think is really good. All right, so have a good week, and I hope to see you this week in the library. Bye bye.